All right, so you're thinking about going for a psychology lecturer interview.
Oh, wow.
And that's a pretty cool career move, if you ask me.
Yeah,
We've got all this great info from RoleCatcher, like career guides, interview tips, even some AI stuff.
I love it.
We're going to dive deep into all of it today, not just like what to say,
Yeah,
but how to really make an impression.
you've got to nail that interview.
Exactly. So before we even get into the interview part,
Yeah.
what does a psychology lecturer even do all day?
Yeah, it's way more than just teaching. You're really shaping the future of psychology. I
Yeah.
mean, your passion is going to be so important, and we're going to help you bring that out.
For sure. So it's not just about teaching, it's about shaping the future.
Absolutely.
But, okay, before we get too ahead of ourselves, let's back up.
Yeah.
What do they actually do?
Well, think of it as a mix of inspiring young minds with like cutting edge research. You're designing courses, you're doing research, you're publishing your findings. You might even mentor students.
So it's like a whole blend of things.
Yeah, it is. And the career path has a lot of potential too. You could start as a teaching assistant, move up to senior lecturer, even head the department one day as a principal lecturer.
Wow, so there's room to climb the ladder.
Definitely.
That's great to know. So let's get to the interview itself. RoleCatcher has 10 common questions they say you're likely to face.
That's a good place to start.
Yeah, we're going to go through them one by one,
Sounds good. Let's do it.
but we're going to go deeper than just the basic stuff.
Yeah, you've got to stand out.
For sure. So first question, this one's a little personal. What inspired you to pursue a career in psychology?
Right. They want to see that real passion. But here's the thing. You got to connect that passion to being a psychology lecturer specifically.
Okay, so not just I love psychology.
Right. Like if you loved psychology as a kid because you were fascinated by memory,
Oh, interesting.
you could talk about how that led you to want to teach cognitive psychology and inspire other students.
So tie it back to the job itself.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And another tip before the interview, look at the department's website and the faculty profiles. See research what their teaching style is.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, weave that into your answer.
Shows you did your homework.
Exactly. It shows you really care about their approach.
Okay, I like that tip. Question 2. What is your teaching philosophy? This one's tough.
It can be. A lot of people just use vague terms,
Like what?
like student-centered or interactive.
Yeah, I've heard that.
You got to be specific. Give real examples. So let's say the university is big on research.
Okay.
You could say, I believe in using the latest research in my teaching. I use real-world examples to make it relevant.
Oh, I see. So show them how you'd actually do it.
Exactly. And remember, teaching psychology isn't just about facts. It's about critical thinking, encouraging debate, helping students understand how complex people are. Think about techniques you'd use: case studies, group discussions, even current events.
Wow, so much to think about.
Okay.
I'm already feeling more prepared.
Yeah, you're going to do great.
Okay, next up is question 3. This one's about your expertise. What are your areas of expertise within psychology? Time to brag a little.
It is. But make sure your skills match what they're looking for.
Research again.
Exactly. Look for keywords in the job description. If they're all about developmental psychology and that's your thing, great. Talk about it. Mention researchers you admire. Highlight your experience.
But what if my expertise isn't something else, but I still want the job?
That's where you get creative. Even if it's not a perfect match, think about transferable skills. Maybe you're a social psychology expert, but you've used developmental theories in your research.
Okay.
Highlight that connection. Show them you can adapt.
That's a good tip. Okay, so question 4 gets into the actual teaching.
Yeah.
How do you approach designing a course syllabus?
A syllabus is like the blueprint. You've got to show them you're organized and thoughtful. Walk them through your process. Do you start with learning objectives? How do you choose readings and assessments?
So like the behind the scenes of teaching.
Yes. Mention things like different learning styles, active participation, constructive feedback.
So you're really showcasing your methods.
Exactly. Right. And remember, you want to show you care about students succeeding.
For sure. Okay, now question 5. This one's big these days. How do you incorporate technology into your teaching?
It is huge. Universities are going digital. You've got to show you're on board.
Got it. But it's not just about using technology for the sake of it, right?
Exactly. It has to actually help students learn. Mention specific platforms or tools, like learning management systems, virtual simulations, polling software.
So give concrete examples.
Yes. and always tie it back to how it benefits the student.
Okay, so like I use online forums to encourage discussion outside of class.
Perfect. It's specific, it shows you're tech savvy, and it's all about student engagement.
This is great. Okay, let's keep
That's
going.
it.
Question 6 is all about how do you assess student learning in your courses?
This is where you show you understand different assessment methods and how they measure learning.
Okay, so not just tests.
Right. Think about essays, presentations, group projects, even portfolios.
So there are lots of options.
There are.
Yeah.
And you want to show you can design assessments that are fair and actually measure what you're teaching.
Right, and give good feedback to the students.
Of course, feedback is key. And it's not just written comments. You can mention individual conferences, peer feedback, even using tech for faster feedback.
Okay, so lots of ways to get feedback. Yeah. Question 7 is, how do you engage students in the learning process?
This is your chance to show your enthusiasm. Think about teaching methods that go beyond just lecturing.
I like it.
Do you use active learning like group discussions or problem solving? Do you create a supportive classroom where people feel comfortable asking questions?
That's important.
It is. Give real examples that show you can make learning fun and interactive.
I'm sensing a theme here. Specifics.
Exactly. They want to see you're excited about teaching and creating a good experience for students.
Makes sense. All right, question 8 is about working with struggling students. How do you approach working with students who are struggling academically?
This one's about empathy and support.
It's a tough one.
It is. But highlight your willingness to help connect students with resources, create a safe space.
So it's about going above and beyond.
Yes. You can mention specific strategies you've used, like peer tutoring or individualized learning plans.
Showing them you've done it before.
Right. And that you really care about students succeeding.
Okay, good stuff. Question 9 is about staying current. How do you stay current with developments in the field of psychology?
Super important. Psychology is always changing. Lecturers need to be up to date.
So how do you show that?
Mention specific journals, you read conferences, you go to professional organizations, you're a lifelong learner.
So like always be curious.
Yes. And you can even mention areas of research you're excited about.
So like what's the newest thing you've learned?
Exactly. It shows you're really passionate.
Okay, I love that. Last question. This one's critical. How do you incorporate diversity and inclusion into your teaching?
This is about more than just acknowledging diversity. It's
Yeah.
about actively creating an inclusive learning environment. Give concrete examples of how you do this.
Okay, I'm ready for specifics.
Do you use diverse materials in your courses? Do you talk about cultural sensitivity and social justice? Do you create a welcoming classroom for everyone?
So it's about actions, not just words.
Exactly. And remember, this is an ongoing thing. We can all do more to learn and grow.
That's so true. Okay, so we've covered 10 tough interview questions,
We made it.
and I'm feeling way more confident.
You should be. You're going to rock this.
But before we move on, there's one thing that can really boost your prep.
Okay, tell me.
RoleCatcher's AI tools.
Oh, yeah, we were going to get to that.
So how can AI help us nail these questions?
So imagine you've written out your answers,
Got it.
but you want to make sure they're really good.
Really impactful.
Impactful.
Yeah, make them shine.
Right. Well, RoleCatcher's AI can actually analyze your answers.
No way.
Yeah, and give you feedback.
So it's like a practice interview?
Kind of, but with an AI coach.
That's so cool. So it actually reads what I wrote.
It does. Let's say you're answering that question about using technology in your teaching.
Oh.
You've got a decent answer, but maybe it's a bit generic.
I could see that happening.
RoleCatcher's AI might say something like, "This is good, but could you mention a specific platform you've used and how it helped students?"
Oh, so it pushes you to give better examples.
Exactly. It helps you be more specific and show off your skills.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So it's not just checking for typos or grammar.
No, it's making your answers stronger and more tailored to the job.
Wow. Okay. I'm convinced.
Yeah.
But how do I actually use this AI stuff?
It's super easy. With RoleCatcher's Copilot, you just paste your answer in, choose the job description, and boom, you get instant feedback.
So it's like having an interview coach right there on my computer.
Pretty much.
I love it. Okay, now that I'm feeling super prepared, thanks to RoleCatcher, I want to talk about the career path. The career guide mentions different stages, from teaching assistant to principal lecturer. Can we break those down?
Sure. It's helpful to see where this role can take you. Starting as a teaching assistant is a great way to get your feet wet.
Okay, so dip your toes in.
Exactly. You'll help with courses, maybe even lead some tutorials.
So you get experience and learn from other lecturers.
You got it. And from there, you can become a full lecturer where you design your own courses and do your own research.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
What about even further down the line? What about senior lecturer?
At that level, you're expected to be more of a leader. You might mentor junior faculty lead research projects, help shape the department's direction.
So more responsibility.
Yes. You'll need a strong record of teaching good research and service to the university.
So it's about becoming a leader in your field.
Exactly. And if you want to be a principal lecturer, that's where leadership really matters. You're managing the whole department, making big decisions representing psychology for the entire university.
That's a pretty big deal.
It is.
Yeah.
And remember, no matter what stage you're at, you should always keep learning. Stay up to date on research, go to conferences, maybe even get more education if you want.
So always be learning.
Yes. Okay, let's go back to those interview questions for a minute. I want to make sure our listener has some solid takeaways.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Let's recap.
Remember that first question. What inspired you to pursue a career in psychology?
Yeah, the personal one.
Instead of just saying you love psychology, think about specific moments that made you want to teach psychology.
Okay, like a light bulb moment.
Exactly. So you could say something like, I was inspired by a professor who made complex theories come alive. I want to create that same spark in my students.
So you're connecting your inspiration to the job itself.
Exactly. Now, what about that teaching philosophy question?
What is your teaching philosophy?
Remember, be specific and give examples. Think about what you actually do in the classroom.
Like those techniques we talked about.
Yes. Do you use active learning debates? Technology, personalized feedback?
So instead of just saying, I'm student-centered, I could say, I use debates and group projects to get students thinking critically, and I give individual feedback to help them grow.
Perfect. You're showing them how you teach, not just what you believe. Now, how about that technology question?
How do you incorporate technology into your teaching?
Think about specific examples of how you've used tech to make learning better.
Like those online platforms and simulations.
Exactly. Have you used video conferencing, social media, anything like that?
Oh, I could say something like, I used virtual reality to teach students about the bystander effect. They got to actually experience it.
That's a great example. It's specific, it's innovative, and it shows you're using tech to create a really cool learning experience.
I like it. Okay, what about that question about helping struggling students?
Remember, this one's about showing your empathy and dedication.
Right, it's about supporting all students.
Think about specific strategies you've used to help students who are having a tough time.
Like tutoring or study skills.
Exactly. So you could say, I offer office hours and tutoring. I also work with the University Support Center to connect students with resources. You're showing them you're proactive and you care about student success. Now, what about staying current in the field?
That was, how do you stay current with developments in the field of psychology?
Remember, show your enthusiasm for learning. Think about the journals, conferences, and organizations you follow.
Right. So I could say something like, I subscribe to these journals. I go to these conferences and I'm a member of these organizations.
Exactly. You're showing that you're staying up to date and engaged with the field.
Yeah.
And you can mention any areas of research you're particularly excited about.
Like that neuroscience of emotion example.
Yes. The more specific you are, the better. Okay, let's move on to that last question about diversity and inclusion.
How do you incorporate diversity and inclusion into your teaching? This one feels important to get right.
It is. Remember, it's about creating an inclusive learning environment for everyone. Think about how you've done this in your teaching.
Like using diverse materials and facilitating discussions.
Exactly. So you could say, I use textbooks and readings from a variety of authors and scholars. I include examples that represent different experiences, and I facilitate discussions on diversity and inclusion. You're showing them you're thinking about these issues and actively working to create a more inclusive classroom. And remember, this is an ongoing process. We can always learn and grow.
Okay, so we've covered all 10 interview questions, and I'm feeling much more prepared. But before we wrap up, I want to circle back to those AI tools one more time.
Let's give RoleCatcher's AI a round of applause. Remember, Copilot can analyze your answers, give you feedback, and help you tailor them to the specific job and institution. It can also look at the job description and point out skills or experiences you might want to emphasize.
It's like having a whole team of experts in my corner.
Exactly. And I think it's especially helpful for someone applying to be a psychology lecturer because every institution is different.
That's true. So tailoring your answers is key.
Okay, so we've covered interview questions, career paths, AI tools, and even career exploration with Career Compass. I think our listener is ready to go.
I think so too. But before we finish, I want to leave our listener with one last thing to think about.
A parting thought.
Exactly. We've talked a lot about preparing for the interview and showing your skills, but an interview is a two-way street.
That's so true. You're interviewing them too.
Exactly. So as you prepare, think about what you want. What are your values, your goals, your ideal work environment?
And don't be afraid to ask questions. This is your chance to learn about them and see if it's a good fit for you.
Finding the right fit is so important.
It is. Okay, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive.
Congratulations on making it this far. You've learned so much about being a psychology lecturer, the interview process, and the amazing tools from RoleCatcher.
We know you're going to do great.
Remember, believe in yourself, show off your strengths, and let your passion shine through.
And until next time, keep learning.
That's so important. And you know what it reminds me of? Something we haven't talked about yet. RoleCatcher is a career compass tool.
Oh yeah, Career Compass.
Yeah.
Like a personalized guide for your career.
I've heard good things about it. But how does it actually work?
Well, it uses AI to look at your skills, your interests, your experience,
Uh-huh.
and then it compares those to different career paths in psychology.
Oh, wow. So it's not just about finding any psychology job.
Right, it's about finding the one that's perfect for you, based on what you're good at and what you want.
That's amazing. So it can help you find a path you didn't even know existed.
Exactly. Let's say you love research, but you also want to work directly with patients.
Okay.
Career Compass might suggest looking into clinical psychology programs or research jobs at a hospital.
So it opens up possibilities.
It does, and here's the best part. You can use Career Compass throughout your whole career. As your interests change or you learn new skills, it can help you stay on track.
So it's like having a career counselor who's always there for you.
Exactly. Now, speaking of goals, let's go back to something we talked about earlier about showing your unique value in the interview.
Right. We talked about tailoring your answers to the specific university or job. But how do you also make sure you stand out as a candidate?
That's where knowing yourself comes in. Think about your strengths, your passions, your experiences. What makes you different from other psychology graduates?
So maybe it's volunteer work, research interests, or a special way of connecting with students.
Yes. Find those things that make you special and weave them into your answers. Don't be afraid to let your personality and your passion show.
Because they're not just looking for a list of qualifications.
Right? They want someone who brings something unique to the department.
And that's you.
Exactly. Your own mix of skills, experience, and enthusiasm.
Okay, I love that. So we've talked about interview prep, career paths, AI tools, and even exploring different careers with Career Compass. I think we've given our listener a lot to work with.
I think so too. They're ready to ace that interview and start an amazing career.
Absolutely. Remember, believe in yourself, showcase your strengths, and don't be afraid to go after your dreams.
We're rooting for you. And until next time, happy learning.
That's a wrap on our deep dive into becoming a psychology lecturer. Thanks for joining us.
Remember, RoleCatcher is here to help you along the way. Their resources and AI tools are amazing.
So go out there, rock that interview, and make a difference in the world of psychology.
We believe in you.